All right. Well, I think I'm live. I believe anyway. So if you all are out there, let me know. Say hi. This is vlog episode 21 that I'm now doing. This is something I've been doing this year. I started earlier this year. I think maybe late last year doing this, and just trying to when I can pop in and kind of update where I've been, what I've been doing, and yeah, we'll start. So the theme of this one is like it's super awesome to be home. I'll just do a real quick update of the stats. I haven't had any flights. I've had no nights in a hotel. I've had 0 ride shares. I've been in nobody else's car. I've not really driven very many places other than some things that are getting ready for a vacation that we're going to be doing. And I've gone to no other cities, which is super dope. So that has been really, 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 really cool. And one of the other things is just been such a deep dive in AI for me this last, I don't know, ever since Beyond, basically. I just been massively diving into agents. I just built a Copilot agent using an MCP that I built with another agent in a Copilot studio or in yeah, it doesn't matter. But anyways, in Claude Code, and then anyways, but I've been doing a lot of work to work on the CyberRise charity, as well as the partnership with Pax8 with respect to providing the analysis of vendor tools to see if they map to safeguards and all of that stuff. And so I've built and pushed like 40 or 50 commits to an MCP, hosted it now in DigitalOcean with automated updating whenever I update the NPM version package, and set it up with a Copilot agent that I'm going to distribute to internal colleagues to be able to do some of this work around vetting things before they send it to the overall group for approval. Anyways, way off on a nerdy tangent, but let's catch up where I've been. I did get to do, starting on not the week of the 4th, but I'll start there because we last had a stream on the 4th. So I took a little time off that afternoon. It was awesome. On the 5th, and the rest of my calendar, if you can see it, which I'm not going to share directly, it's all yellow and pink and red. And red's like live streams, which isn't a ton of them. I only had 5 presentations in the last 3 weeks, which is really low. I'm usually 4 or 5 a week. And pink and green are prep for essentially for or consulting with people from an SME perspective. So tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of consulting, and then lots of work on prep for presentations. So I had to prepare for a talk that I'm doing at the end of the year in November. We had to come up with that topic. It's going to be fun. I won't spoil too much, but I'm gonna play the scenario of what if somebody did really good OSINT and spearfished someone in charge of an entire title company's platform for the wire instruction management, their title Resware. There's a whole bunch of them out there. And then what I might do to make that land and stick, right? And get paid and not get caught. So I'm going to do a neat talk there. And so that was happening. And then again, getting together with another company because I'm doing I'm going to take a bunch of people. I think there's like 30 or 40 technicians coming in that have just not had a lot of exposure to red teaming or any of the attack tools, very little Linux. And so I'm going to get them in and we're going to do some Hack Me rooms together. We're going to do some competition. We're going to do a CTF to some extent. So it's going to be a fun time. So I'm planning that. That's going to be a 5-hour thing I'm doing later in September. So it's just been a lot of planning, right? Like a lot of meetings and planning. We think I've got 3 of our 4 major vendors locked in for my security boot camp. And then I met the dude yesterday, Knox, that he was awesome, like just fantastic, really smart, doing a lot of cool stuff with agents. We got to really nerd out for a few minutes. He's going to be helping out from Horizon 3. So that's going to be super dope for the boot camp. I'm really excited about that. I had our live stream on the game. We're starting to get back into the game. So we've got it to where we have the game, and then afterwards, immediate pre-pro or pre-planning meeting. And then working on framework mapping, trying to get to something scalable for mapping tools, vendors, tools, and services to their underlying safeguards that they might meet in various frameworks. And we're finding AI and agents is the answer, and the ability to scale it and make it open source and provide it under the charity. And Pax8 is going to be great from that license perspective. Okay, so, and then it was like getting ready for slide decks for my class. I wanted to redo my slide deck just because I don't like the colors anymore. So I decided to redo it because I guess I'm stupid. But anyways, redid my slide deck for the class. Had a kickoff again. That was on the 11th. And then started my class. So I really enjoyed doing this, but I wish more people attended. Everybody attends once they've signed up, but I think I only had 5 people in that class. That's been a common trend, which perhaps it's telling me something. Maybe you know what I mean. Maybe it's not necessary. But anyways, it's basically a review of the CIS safeguards, and it's fun because I always ask my students like when they come in, what do they think their security knowledge is, and just the understanding the breadth of the problem and understanding the intricacies of it. And everybody will say they're like in a 5 to a 7 in the United States. Um, I always ask at the end, and I started asking them to be retrospective and not actually, or introspective and maybe retrospective and retrospective, but not necessarily tell me the answer. But how many of you think what your number is now? Like, and when I used to ask them to say it out loud, people go like 2, 3, and it's not a flex or trying to say I know things. It's more saying it's really neat to watch them understand that there's things that have moved from their don't know they don't know bucket back to their don't know bucket, right? Like I like to say there are 3 buckets in life. I stole this from somewhere, I'm sure. But right, the first bucket is something you know. That's just something you know enough, at least within the Dunning-Kruger principle, I suppose, of knowledge of this subject, enough to understand it. And you have enough context of the things you don't know around. Like, for example, I'm talking about Control 16. That's one of the least things I know. Now, do I know a bit about it? Yeah, I've got context. I've been using CI/CD pipelines. I've looked at them. I've seen controls written about them. I've seen evidence of those things. I've looked at them functioning. But do I live in it? No. So there's tons of stuff I just don't know in that side around, code and DevSecOps and all those things, right? But I know that because I understand some things that I do know about it, right? I have context of those other things. And then there's that third bucket of the don't know you don't know. That bucket is something that you can't know. You don't have a contextual anchor from something you do know that now falls into that don't know bucket. It's just completely blind to you. And so what I love about doing the CIS walkthrough and talking about the intricacies of the controls and talking about the problems with implementing them and talking about the way one would have to go about it is like you walk away with so much that's moved from that don't know you don't know bucket to the don't know bucket, right? Where you just know I need to go learn this. Like this is something I need to learn. This is something that I'm gonna have to get because I understand its relevancy. I understand some contextual anchor now that ties into the things I do know. Like, oh my gosh, EDR doesn't solve all problems. And I do actually have to manage that and look for when someone's gotten past that EDR and look for hands on keyboard and look for trading techniques that have got indicate compromise beyond that, like things of that nature, right? So it's just helping people by going through all of the 153 safeguards, understand some more of the don't know. All right. So I had 12 hours of education that I've done now. So that's, I think, I don't know if you do the math, that's 4 times I've taught this course this year. So I'm at 4 runnings of that. Anyways, but yeah, it's been super nice to be at home and not really overly burdened with a bunch of presentations. It's tough to do 3 hours in a row, 4 days in 2 weeks for them too, for the students as well, right? It's really rough. So I feel bad about that. What else went on? Got to hang out with Chris from GTIA, talk about what happened at the first channel con with the GTIA channel con that just happened, and it was great. Got to talk about CTFs and talk. Actually, it was funny is I talked to like 3 or 4 or 5 people about CTFs, capture the flags internally, both at PAX 8 in the US and also in Australia. Maria Armstrong's looking at using CTFs in her org. So it's super cool. I really love kinesthetic learning modalities. Like I really love like just get in and try it and fail and learn and suck and then stop sucking as much. Like it's one of my favorite methods to learn, and I believe others like that too. And then again, I whole days of like presentation prep and review and vendor mappings and finding just giant flaws in the questionnaires and things we built and finding how fast I can fix it with AI in a lot of cases, like agents built just with the purpose of being able to give me a better method of asking a question that people won't go, damn, that sounds like Matt talking, right? So super helpful for that kind of stuff. Worked on and trying to schedule and put together an IR tabletop game of a very unique nature for a company. And tomorrow morning, we're going to get together and do a run through of that with Bob Miller playing our original game from the first time we did this with IR games. So that was cool. See what else did I do? Another live stream, got to catch up. Just a lot of time hands on keyboard though. A lot of times hands on keyboard, which is great for me. Like I really enjoyed doing that. Got a lot of things solved. Don't want to spoil the fun, but I've got a big announcement about Cyberrise tomorrow. Tomorrow morning there'll be a stream. I think tomorrow's Friday. Yeah, tomorrow morning there's a stream. We may have some pretty cool news to announce that's going to make it a lot better and fix some of the challenges of having 3 people that have full-blown careers in front of them right now and full-blown demands on everything. And so we might be getting some super help from a super good friend. All right, what else? And then this week, so that brings us up to this week. I've been working on a lot of for our talk, giving swords to AI overlords, to our future AI overlords. And that talk is me and Eric Stevens. We're talking about prompt injection abuse and what that means when combined to things like MCPs. If you're at least in the know enough to follow along what I'm talking about, an MCP or model context protocol gives you the ability to take traditional API access and very quickly handle the handoff of that to being an MCP tool and that an LLM can use. So a tool that your generative tools, your agents can use, which means that you can connect to things that might need better protections before that happens, and what kind of abuse can come from that, and how might we abuse that. And we've got a pretty cool little scenario we're going to demonstrate of how we might abuse that. So we're going to be doing that in two places. We're going to be doing it at Wild West Hackin' Fest, Eric Stevens and I, and we're also going to be doing it beyond Amsterdam. Just two birds, one stone. We're already going to both be at both conferences speaking, so it just kind of worked out to tack on that second showing of it. And then, yeah, what else? Let's see. We've got just logistics. I'm going out of town on holiday, starting on tomorrow afternoon at like 12, I think. I still have a Control 10 class with John Strand, AMA type thing on while I'm driving, or I won't be driving, Kat will be driving, but while we're driving towards vacation. So I will be on tomorrow for that. And if you're not in the know about that, please reach out and we'll get you on that call. I do believe that's just open for anybody to join and ask any questions about CIS from John or myself or Andrew or others that pop in there from time to time. And then I got some stuff to do this afternoon. I've got a live stream planned for HAI, the hackathon. It's something I've been doing with, Ashley Cooper, probably one of the most brilliant humans I know, probably in a lot of scopes, but just in the unique thinking capability that she has. Jason Slagle, he's just a grinder, man, and he knows so many things, and he's just so broad, and he can contextualize so many things. He's like a 10 terabytes of RAM for VRAM or something for an LLM. He's got a huge context size. Anyways, so that's cool. John Harden, also just a massively forward thinker. He loves having his hands in AI. He's doing cool stuff, and he's a traditional coder, so he has a lot of that development background that I just don't have. And then myself, and we're just talking about the stuff we're doing. So that's going to be a cool stream this afternoon. Check that out if you're going to be on YouTube. It's the only place I put that, I believe. But and then I've got some recordings to do. One of the things we're finding is that the questionnaire, again, back to the framework thing, kind of sucks. And I made it. I mean, this is me that sucked. This is past Matt sucked. And maybe this is a cool thing to take a break and talk about, is like, I, throughout my career, I'm almost always have looked back at last year's work. Like, imagine when you're coming back on a server that you haven't seen in a year in a pro serve or something, and you're coming back to do something, and looked at it and said, oh my God, I did this work. This was trash. This was absolute trash. Now, do I believe that I did sloppy work back then? By comparison to what I know now, right? And I think it's not like I did bad work. I did the exact same work over and over again, quite repeatable, but the process has to improve. You have to get better. You have to learn more. You have to improve the process. It always has to get better. And so I just don't ever look back on prior work as usually good anyway. But on top of that, like, this work just genuinely leads people down bad paths. They choose answers because I set them up to fail. So, those are these uniquely like, dummy, you did this, you created the nuance, and you couldn't actually make the question make sense. And I think that's one of those things where using an LLM that's been well tuned for this is going to be a really good method for me to solve that. That's why I built this MCP. That's why I'm going to build agents that have agent prompts. Thanks, Bob, for that one, and Stuart and Steven, that allow me to interpret that MCP in different ways for various functions that I'm doing, but still create the same framework and rules and taxonomy and things of that nature. But anyways, yeah, so gonna get into kind of that kind of stuff. So I'm recording some things with Veronica to get that done, and also meeting with Veronica to hopefully, if I have enough Claude credits left today, to hopefully hand her over a version that she can start working with to take these vendor responses and analyze them, and then say, I think this needs to go back to the drawing board, or I think the model needs to go back to the drawing board, which is, I think, the more likely case. But ultimately, just the fun of grinding through it as a project and being home and in my own house. I've exercised every day. I haven't missed a day. I have gotten great sleep. I've gotten my resiliency score back up, and I think it's for a good reason. Like, if I look at my schedule, which I almost don't really want to after I get back, but I believe if I go straight to Denver, then Vail back to Vancouver, Vancouver to Kelowna, Kelowna back to Vancouver, back to my house, home for 2 days, out to Phoenix for 3 days, then to Idaho, then back, then to British Columbia somewhere. I can't remember the city. Then back, then to Gurkon and Grand Rapids. Like, I don't have a break again until November. So these 3 weeks have been necessary, and delicious, and I'm extremely excited because I'm going on vacation next week, and that vacation is going to be, um, the 3 best friend, basically, people that I have in my life. I'm gonna go up and hang out with, Jason Slagle, and then Tom Lawrence, and then over to Jason Farmer, in Wisconsin. So I'm gonna go hang out with all 3 of them for a few days each. Cat, myself, the dog, my youngest son. We're all gonna go, bringing all 4 motorcycles, 4 bicycles, 1 dog, and a dog trailer. And so we're gonna go up and do some more active things and really enjoy the outdoors. It's gonna be 60s and 70s. I'm just, in US numbers, and so I'm super, super excited about that, and I've needed to recharge, but I've also needed these kind of wins where I can empower other people to take what's in my brain, and succeed. And that's what started me down this framework maps Claude code charge has been that piece. So, anyways, don't want to beleaguer the point. This doesn't need to be a long episode. It's been pretty much just a recharge and getting to hang out and get a lot of projects done, get a lot of talks done. I think I'm doing 5 brand new talks or 6 brand new talks this year total, which has been just monstrous, especially as some of them are quite deep research and planning and all that fun stuff. So, anyways, been fun to catch up. And yeah, if you're still here, appreciate you. Vlog 21 done.